everyone, it's Stephanie and Lucy, and today I am here to do recent reads numbers 131 to 140. We still have a ways to go, but we're getting there. So let's just jump in. Hi, Oliver. So, number 131 is Ruby Red Herring by Tracy Gardner. And this is book number 1 in the Avery Ayers Antique Mystery Series. After their parents' deaths, Avery Ayers and her teenage sister Tilly take over the family business, which is an antiques and artifacts. There's a bug in here, and my cats are about to go nuts. An antiques and artifacts business, and they also have their eccentric Aunt Midge. However, their world is kind of blown away when they learn that the theft of a priceless ruby may be connected to their parents' death. A whole bunch of stuff happens around this ruby, and someone turns up dead. So one thing I did like about this, it doesn't center around a murder mystery. It's really just an anthropological type mystery, which I thought was really unique for a cozy. However, I felt like this was a lot of mystery and not enough cozy, which if it was a normal mystery, that wouldn't bother me, but I went into this expecting a cozy mystery, and I don't really feel like I connected with the characters, and I just didn't really enjoy the setting or really anything. So it just wasn't for me. I will give the series another try because I know sometimes first books in a series can be a little bit rougher and the writing and everything gets more polished as they go. But yeah, not my favorite, and that's okay. Next, I read Pint of No Return by Dana Mentick, and this is book number 1 in the Shake Shop Mystery Series. After her divorce from her thrice-married embezzler husband, Trinidad Jones, is left one of her ex's businesses in Upper Sprocket, Oregon, and she decides to pack up her bags, move up there, and open the Shimmy and Shake Shop, which has amazing milkshakes. One day she discovers her neighbor, the Popcorn King, head down in his giant popcorn kettle. And one of Trinidad's fellow ex-wives is accused of the murder, and mayhem ensues. So this was another one where I feel like it was perfectly fine. It wasn't bad by any means, but I didn't connect with the characters, and I felt like the synopsis of the book was more exciting than the actual plot. There were a lot of characters, but honestly, Noodles the dog was the star of this book. I thought he was adorable, and like the last one, I'll definitely give the second book a shot. Next, I read Claws for Suspicion, and this is book number 3 in the Catskills Pet Rescue Mystery Series by Deborah Blake. And I really enjoy this series. We follow Carrie Stewart and her sassy cat Queenie, and they run the Serenity Sanctuary in the Catskills. And she's finally starting to relax into her role. Things are really getting going with her pet rescue. And it's time for the annual Oktoberfest. And she's becoming friends and bonding a little bit more with the handsome vet, Angus McCoy. Until suddenly there's an unexpected arrival of her unpleasant ex-husband, Charlie. And he comes with a shocking revelation that the paperwork on their divorce never went through and they are still married. And he wants to take partial ownership of the sanctuary, and she is not having it. And things go from bad to worse when an unexpected death makes Carrie the main suspect in the murder investigation. I really, really love this. I love that we get a really good mystery, and it was really well plotted and well paced. I liked how it was wrapped up. And I also loved learning a little bit more about Carrie's backstory. It really added to the coziness of the mystery. So I am really excited for the next book. I've loved all three books in the series so far, and I know the next one will be fantastic too. So next I read Two Tall Tales, which is by Sophie Kelly / Sophie Ryan, and she writes the Magical Cat series and the Second Chance Cat series. So this is 2 novellas, one from each series. And I really liked it. It was just a really cozy, easy breezy time. Both of them have cats, which is fabulous. And it was super short. I think the audiobook was only 3 hours long on 1.0 speed. So it's just something you can breeze through in an afternoon, but it's a really nice palate cleanser, and I loved being back with the characters and the animals. Next, I read Mongrels by Stephen Graham Jones. This is my second book by him, and it will definitely not be my last. This was a kind of darkly funny coming-of-age story about this boy who's an outsider like his family, and they're very poor but very resilient, and he lives with his aunt and uncle, and his aunt and uncle are mongrels or mixed blood. They're not anything specific. He's told all his life, like, this is what it means to be a mongrel. You're gonna go through the change soon, so a werewolf, yada yada yada. And so he's kind of just having to process all these things coming from both sides. They're always on the move across the South to avoid the law, and the time is drawing near for when his change is going to happen. We never know the name of the protagonists, so it's just really compelling and fascinating. And we kind of go back and forth between past and present, and he's trying to understand his family and trying to find his place in this world. And it's a pretty moving story, honestly, and it did have some good humor. It's also partially set in Arkansas, which is cool. But just like Stephen Graham Jones, per usual, the writing was beautiful yet disturbing and disgusting at times, but I also couldn't stop reading it, which I think is the mark of fantastic writing. So definitely recommend this. I do have a full review for it that's spoiler free, which I'll link, but this will definitely not be my last book by this author. Next, I read Totally Pawstruck, which is book number 9 in the Second Chance Cat Mystery series by Sophie Ryan. And once again, we're back with Sarah Grayson and her rescue cat Elvis. We're following them around North Harbor, Maine to solve a murder mystery. Things go from there, and it's just such a fun time. I really, really enjoyed it. This is one of my favorite cozy series, so I just highly recommend it. Next, I read Blackveil by Kirsten Britton. This is book 4 in the Green Rider series. I won't go too much into detail since this is the 4th book, but we're still following Kerrigan Galadian, and things get a little bit darker in this book, but I think that was really interesting because it really upped the stakes a little bit. This is the first book out of the 4 so far that I was like really on the edge of my seat, like what is going to happen next. So I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I was definitely interested enough to move on to the next one because it was a ride. Next, I read Claws of Death by Lorna Barrett. This is book number 16 in the Booktown Mystery series, and we follow Trisha Miles and her sister Angelica. And again, I won't go too much into this one. It's book 16, and even though most cozies can be standalones, this series does have, toward the later books, a plot thread that continues through it, so I don't want to spoil anything. But as per usual, Trisha and Angelica get involved in the murder mystery to help solve it. This one wasn't my favorite in the series. I enjoyed being back with Trisha and her family and her friends, and I enjoyed some of the new characters that we met, but some of the dialogue and the plot felt kind of disjointed and forced. Okay, sorry about that transition. For some reason, the end of that video just like froze. So, future Stephanie here, jumping in to finish up this recent reads video. So, number 138 is Kaikeyi by Vaishnavi Patel. And this is a standalone that came out this year, and it's based on Indian mythology, which I thought was really interesting, or historical India and Hindi traditions. Our title character is Kaikeyi, and she's the only daughter of the kingdom of Kaikeyi, and she is raised on tales about the gods and how they're so mighty and benevolent and how they vanquish evil and yada yada yada. However, she sees her father banish her mother and is constantly being told that her worth is only based on how great of a marriage alliance she can make, and every time she calls on the gods for help, it seems like they don't really hear her. Desperate, she turns to these texts that she once read with her mother, and she discovers a magic that just belongs to her. And using this power, Kaikeyi goes from being this overlooked person to a warrior, a diplomat, a very well-liked queen, and she is determined to make the world a better place for herself and the women around her. The path she's forged clashes with the destiny that the gods have chosen for her family, and she has to decide if resistance is worth the destruction that will happen in the process. This was so good. I knew I would like this, but I loved it. And I really enjoyed the exploration of motherhood and misogyny and patriarchy. Kaikeyi was such a strong character, and I really enjoyed following her on her journey. I found her to be really resilient, a complex character. She was very empathetic, and I thought she was very, very well written. The novel was really well paced, and even though I finished this in June, it has really stuck with me, and I'm already looking forward to rereading it in the future. So I gave that one 5 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend. And finally, I read Thread and Dead, which is book 2 in the Apron Shop Mystery Series by Elizabeth Penny. And this is set in Blueberry Cove, Maine, at a sewing apron shop. We find a dead body, we follow our protagonist, she solves a mystery. It was a good time. Wasn't my favorite in the series, but I did enjoy my time reading it, and it was a really good palate cleanser. So, have you read any of these books? If so, please let me know below. If you'd just like to leave an emoji, drop an orange heart emoji for Kaikeyi down below. As always, if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.